Discover new audiences faster using Restream.io. What's up, everybody? We are live. The Digital Drop Podcast is live on all the platforms with our new sponsor, Restream. Today, we're talking about Dr. Disrespect. We're talking about Ninja. We're talking about Shroud. The crazy drama and insanity related to where the heck are these guys going to be streaming? What platforms are they going to be on? Huge shakeups in the streaming world. I'll catch you up in 1 minute, and then we'll get into the actual speculation about what it means when these celebrity streamers go to new platforms, to existing platforms. What does it mean for those platforms themselves? Are they going to grow or are they going to die? And most importantly, for all of our live streamers out there that are concerned about where they should be streaming, what does it mean if Dr. Disrespect switches to your stream, if Shroud or Mixer comes to your platform? Does that actually impact your stream? Does that matter at all to you? We'll be answering those questions with ice cold numbers and facts. Here's the quick catch up on what's going on here. Dr. Disrespect. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of speculation out there about what's happening with him, but suddenly his stream just ended out of nowhere a few days ago. And he, in his public statement here that I'm showing on the screen, he says, Twitch has not notified me on the specific reason that my stream went down. A lot of people think he knows exactly why his stream went down. He's been permanently banned from Twitch. He's one of the top 10 biggest streamers on Twitch. So where is Dr. Disrespect going to go? What is he going to do now that he's banned from his platform that he was the king of? Well, also recently there's been shakeups with Ninja and Shroud, of course, Mixer closing down, and Ninja and Shroud have not made an announcement on where they are going to go. So what is the future for all three of these mega streaming personalities, Ninja, Shroud, and Dr. Disrespect, now that they basically none of them have a home anymore? Where are these three guys going to go? Well, top theories that just have recently popped up include this random Twitter account called Brime, codename Brime, has been blowing up on Twitter. Tons of people hit me in DMs, virally being shared, saying this is actually the reason why Dr. Disrespect was banned from Twitch, is he was trying to get people to join this platform, and he basically broke the terms of service of Twitch by trying to get people to leave and to join this new project. Brime. Is it going to be Brime? I don't know, guys. Let's go ahead and just dive straight into it. Ross A. Dillon and Andrew Perrin, what the heck do you think is going on right here, and where do you think these guys are going to go?
So we just got a comment on Periscope from Steve Wiseman saying Spotify Games just launched an account on Twitter. Probably a troll, but that's another theory that I saw out there was that Spotify and Google have a streaming thing up their sleeves. I don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, this is all speculation. But for me, Mixer just died last Monday. So why on earth are we trying to start up another streaming platform again when we know, Microsoft couldn't even do it? Microsoft's got plenty of money to take a loss on a project like this for many years and be okay. But even they were like, nah, scrap it. We're done. So why are we so eager to pick up the ball that they dropped? I don't really understand that.
I don't know why either. I mean, seriously, Mixer had unlimited money. They had the biggest personalities in the game, and the platform utterly failed. I don't see how any other players could jump in the game here and think that it's reasonably going to work. It doesn't matter who they are. I mean, Apple could jump in. They haven't made a splash yet. They haven't made a play, so maybe they could make it work. Ross, do you think that there's any chance at all that any major tech players out there could jump into the streaming space, actually punch through, and be successful?
Well, I mean, there's always a chance, as we've talked about before. Like what you just said right there, Apple, I think Apple's the one that grabs my attention the most. And that's only just because they're just backed by just an insane amount of money, so that if anybody can make it work, it could be them. But we've seen this before, just like you said. I mean, we had Shroud and Ninja both go to Mixer, and that platform failed miserably. So, I mean, that's still Microsoft. At what point do we just say, okay, maybe we're just interested in this because of the drama surrounded streaming? Because in the end, it's like we've all sat here and talked about, it's not really going to matter where they go.
It's not going to matter. Possibly it doesn't matter. Possibly it matters a lot. And here's why. So, okay, Dr. Disrespect, Ninja, and Shroud. Let's say Spotify Games, or let's say this site. I'm going to pull it up on the screen again here. I mean, who knows if this thing is real or not. Let's say Brime is real. Let's say that all three of these guys go to a new platform. The reason why it's going to affect our viewers is there's going to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of streamers that are going to flood into these platforms, and they're going to tank those platforms. That's exactly what's going to happen. So how can that affect you? Well, what you want to be doing, where you want to be on a platform that has a low supply of streamers. So as little streamers as possible, but a high demand in terms of viewership. So basically it's a supply and demand game, right? And so when big celebrity streamers join platforms, what happens? All of the riffraff ends up joining, and the riffraff don't have any viewership at all. And so as soon as they join somewhere and those millions of legions of followers come and join, it actually ends up tanking the platform. That is precisely what we saw with Mixer when the whole buyout essentially happened with Ninja and Shroud and others, Twitch streamers that joined over there. They spiked up. Over 4 million streamers are streaming on Mixer, and the vast majority of them were streaming to nobody. And so when there's a whole bunch of nobodies around you, I mean, guys, is it easier to get noticed in a crowd of 130,000 people like on Facebook Gaming? Or is it easier to be noticed in a crowd of 4 million people like we're on Mixer? I mean, where are the numbers in your favor, right? It's a pretty simple numbers game.
Yeah, this does turn out to be like a new streaming service popping up. Everyone's going to be on the hype. You got to think there's going to be no, like you said, there's going to be no viewership. It's not going to be something that you want to jump into. Like if you are jumping into it, certainly don't sacrifice the other destinations you've been building on and go like all in on this new gamble, because you've seen how that turns out. Something like, and I go back to this so much, but it's a safe way to approach this is doing a restream approach. Like, do you really want to move from wherever you are to being with 4 million other people trying to fight over like 2% of the pie? No, you don't want to be. That's just not mathematically. You're just hurting your chances of growth. The whole goal is to get your content in front of many eyeballs as possible, right? And if you are vying with millions of other people for a smaller amount of eyeballs, it just doesn't make sense. So you need to be putting yourself in a position where you get the least amount of competition and you're getting the most amount of eyeballs. The best way to do that is to get your content across as many platforms as possible, not just dedicated to one, which is why I'm always coming back to Restream.io. I know, but it's safe and it helps you get your content out onto more eyeballs, especially when you're newer and you haven't built up a presence anywhere. Maybe later on, once you start getting some traction somewhere and you start really growing, you can kind of consolidate down to one platform. But it doesn't make sense to me to just go all in when everything is so risky right now. Like, the whole live streaming market is very tumultuous. There's a lot of moving and shaking going on. Picking one place and like putting all your eggs in that basket is just a recipe for disaster for me right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I mean, it's kind of what you really need to do here is just kind of put your ego in check and say, and don't say actually, well, hey, I like Facebook, so I'm just going to, stream exclusively to Facebook Gaming and hope I make it there. Don't do that to yourself. Give yourself in your content the option to actually succeed and test out, A/B test, all these testing methods that we've talked about for the last year. Do them and use something like Restream so you can have all the data come in at once. And then just if you decide that you want to go on like a solo platform, by all means, but do yourself have the decency to test it for yourself and see which one actually works best for you. And this, like you said, Restream is just the easiest way to do that.
People are like, oh my God, they keep talking about Restream. We've been talking about Restream for a long time. Now they're paying us money to talk about them. So thank you to Restream for sponsoring us. And if you guys are interested in picking up Restream, we have a code that's in our profile on Twitter, also in the description of these streams. You can get $10 off if you buy Restream. We've been using it for years and recommending it on this podcast since we started in 2018. And this image I just brought up on the screen over here, sorry, my display capture is kind of acting funky. I've pointed a million arrows at it, but you see how 36% of streamers went with a platform that just disappeared? This light blue portion of this pie right here is gone. Do you see how risky that is? Do you see how much risk the market took with how many unique channels were on Mixer? 36% of streamers are now homeless and are looking for a new place to be. Why are you going to go all in on any platform unless you know it's going to be there in the long term? And at the end of the day, the only platforms that are really, truly going to be there in the long term is going to be YouTube, number one. YouTube is going to be there longer than any other platform because it is by far the most secure, the number one video juggernaut out there. Number two, Twitch is the second most secure, but far less secure than YouTube is. Twitch is tiny. It is a tiny speck in comparison to YouTube when it comes to being financially secure and having the audience. And then something like Facebook, I would actually say now is one of the riskiest because we still don't know precisely how all in Facebook is going to be on this thing in the coming years. As more time passes, we can trust Facebook more and more, but we can't be absolutely positive. So putting all of your eggs in one basket absolutely makes no sense at all. But let's talk a little bit more. So let's say Dr. Disrespect and Shroud and Ninja end up going over to a new platform like Brime or Spotify Games, maybe. One that doesn't yet exist. What do you guys think the probability is that such a platform will succeed?
Not likely at all.
Yeah.
Less than a 50% chance. I mean, when you take the biggest, and let's take what we know, first of all. We already know from a mathematical standpoint, from a data standpoint, that when Ninja goes somewhere, his audience follows, and the majority of his audience also streams non-effectively to almost a zero amount of viewers. So they don't have any power of carrying over viewership. So wherever Ninja goes, unfortunately, he brings tons of viewers, but all his viewers also live stream, and they don't bring any viewers. He brings a bunch of live streamers. We're talking millions of live streamers anywhere he goes, and they don't bring an extra audience. So that's damaging to whatever platform he goes onto. If that's a brand new platform, you've got tons of streamers, and only one of them is like great. Maybe we bring Dr. Disrespect too. I imagine if this is what's going on Dr. Disrespect, and I don't know, but if it is, and he moves, probably has a similar effect as Ninja does, where a lot of people want to be like him. A lot of people are going to stream and are inspired by him, but they don't have any audience, and they don't do what he actually does. They don't actually put together content the way he does and do it successfully. Whenever you take streaming stars to start a platform, it's a recipe for disaster. You have to build these platforms from the ground up and bring talent in. The one thing Facebook Gaming did that was right here, if you guys look at what the difference is between Facebook Gaming and Mixer, in the beginning, you have Darkness429. And let's take him as an example. He was a Twitch streamer. He was not a big Twitch streamer. He was like maybe at best a medium-sized guy. And they brought over medium-sized talent to the Facebook Gaming platform and then made them stars on their platform instead of taking the biggest star and bringing it over the platform. I don't think they realized that that's why. I don't think they realized, the compound effect of all of the riffraff, as you called it, AWOL coming over. But the big business decision that they made differently was they took medium-sized growing talent and brought it over. That's how you build a platform of organic. That's how you build a platform. And it takes time. It takes time for viewership to come over. So trying to build it all at once, you're just going to have a new platform filled with three amazing streamers and millions of crap. And no one's going to want to watch it because they're going to have to wade through the crap. Ross, you got your...
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. If that is what happens, you are 100% right. But let's also take this into consideration. Let's just use Spotify Gaming, Make Believe, whatever it is. Let's just use that as an example for right now. What if Spotify Gaming takes the same approach that they're looking to take with podcasting, and it becomes exclusive, meaning not anybody can just stream on there, only people who are contracted to stream on there. So in that case, you'd just be literally flooding it with views. You wouldn't be flooding this platform with, a bunch of streamers who aren't going to, bring an audience with them. It's literally just contracted streamers. And if you're starting out with the best three, not the best three, but these three, Ninja, Shroud, and Dr. Disrespect, then yeah, I think the platform could have a huge chance of succeeding, but I think that's only if it's exclusive.
Yeah, personally, I don't think that has any chance of succeeding at all. And here's why. Whenever anybody tries to transfer their audience over to a new platform, roughly 10% will go. In best case scenario, 20% will go. And so right now, Dr. Disrespect has like 25,000, let's say on average, concurrent viewers watching him. Only 2,000 to 5,000 of those would actually go over to a new platform and watch him once the hype wears off 60 days later. That is very bad. That is not good conversion at all. Especially since this is a new platform with no users, that number might even be much lower than that. If he went to a new platform with no audience on it, he might only have like 1,000 to 2,000 people that would actually go there to watch him. Seriously. Not joking. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you look at Shroud and Ninja, whenever they went over to Mixer, their numbers decreased massively. But it'll decrease even more if they go to a platform that doesn't have any viewers on it at all. See, Ninja and Shroud, their numbers dropped down to like 6,000 to 10,000 average concurrents, where on Twitch, they were in the tens of thousands at any given point. But that's because they were soaking up like a third of the entire Mixer platform whenever they went live, because they were number one and because they were being featured, and they would soak up all those views. So they were taking the existing viewership on Mixer primarily. It wasn't their viewers that were loyal. They were actually soaking up the majority of the viewers that were on Mixer. It wasn't their loyal audience that came over there and said, I'll follow you to the end. So if these three guys decide that they're going to move over to some new platform, whether that's WB Games or Spotify Games or Grime or Poop Butt, whatever the hell the platform's going to be called, they're only going to bring a few thousand concurrent viewers each, tops, over to that platform, and that's it. So what? You have 3 stars over there. They've each got 3,000, let's say, concurrent viewers they successfully brought over, which would be a miracle if they made that happen. They got 9K concurrents. That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing. You aren't even close to starting to build a platform, a live streaming platform that's going to be economically viable to pay these guys. Where's the money even going to come from to fund all this? I mean, they might fund it for the first year, but when they're just sitting there on top of 9,000 concurrent viewers, where's the revenue going to come from? Are they going to wait 1 year, then 2 years, then 3 years, then 4 years, then 5 years for that platform to grow and become successful? Are investors actually going to wait around and see this thing play out and actually work out? Hell no. They're going to look and see the results within year 1 and shut it down. I think that there's next to no chance that this could work. These guys' loyal audiences, they've got thousands of people that are loyal and will come over for sure, but only a couple thousand will watch them at any given point. Where's the revenue going to come from? Can anybody wait 5 years? The answer is absolutely not. They can't wait 5 years. Mixer was more patient than most. Mixer stuck around for a while. Microsoft dumped over $100 million easy into that platform, and they still gave up. How is anybody else going to be different? So I called it earlier on Twitter. I put it out there, but if there is a new platform that's going to emerge right now, and they're going to use this top talent to go over, I'll bet every dollar I have that it will fail. Just because investors don't have the patience to wait for it to succeed. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why you would need, they would have to be, for success, it would have to be a company such as Apple that doesn't even need investors. That's it.
So then what do you guys think the chances are of Facebook Gaming sticking around? Because Facebook Gaming, I mean, let's be real, I think out of all the different players, and like Microsoft has tons of money. If we're talking about Zuck bucks like we like to here, I think they've got the most money to keep this going for the longest possible. Now we're still about ready to hit a period where like they're going to inflate with riffraff streamers, and we'll see if that does any damage. But they've only been going 2 years at best now with Facebook Gaming. Do they have what it takes to stick it out in the long term? And then we're talking about publicly traded streaming companies. What about a private one? What about one that's not publicly traded? What about one that doesn't answer to investors? So there's I have all these different questions. Like, is there actually a way to make a Twitch competitor platform, because Twitch needs a major competitor so that they can be better, in my opinion. Is it possible? Is it going to be Facebook Gaming? Are they the only ones that have a shot?
They all answer to investors, all of them. It just depends on which investors you're talking about. So the publicly traded companies like Microsoft and Amazon and Google, they answer to the public, right? The public is their investor. The market is their investor. However, the private companies that you're referring to, they will also have to answer to an investor. Investors. I mean, how are they going to get the millions to buy this top talent? How are they going to get the millions to buy the tech team to actually build the platform and program it? How are they going to buy the millions?
Those millions are coming from the streamers. Dr. Disrespect, Ninja, Shroud. What if they're the millionaires that's sinking the money into it? Same thing at that point, or not?
I mean, are they going to stick around for a long time as their money just goes away and goes away and goes away? Are they in it for 5 years? Are they there to drain their entire savings to fund a platform like this? I mean, no, obviously not. These guys don't even have anywhere near enough money to fund a company like this. Not even close. Well, okay, so you're like, oh, what do you mean they don't have enough money? You know, Ninja reportedly got 30 million and Shroud reportedly got 10 million and Dr. Disrespect reportedly is a millionaire. Okay. Maybe let's say that's $50 million. Let's say they have $50 million in the bank. Get rid of a third of that in taxes. Maybe they've got, 30 million maximum that they could invest in a platform right now. As soon as they switch over to this new platform, they're going to stop making money, right? Because they're going to a zero nothing burger platform. They're not going to make much money anymore. And so how long does $30 million last on a tech platform like this? Year and a half, maybe 2 years tops. They're toast, dude. Where's the money going to come from? You need investors to dump tens of millions year after year after year after year and ramp up the investment as you move into subsequent years. That's how investing private tech companies works. I advise tech company CEOs and they talk to me about their investment strategy. And you start in the beginning with like 500K, then you move up to a $3 to $5 million round, then you move up to a 10 or 15 million round, then you move up to a 20 or 30 million round. And these guys with their initial money, it's clown shoes money compared to what you need to fund a platform like this. Not to mention the millions you have to spend in server costs and infrastructure, business development personnel, sales personnel, community management personnel. I don't think people realize how much of a money sink it is to run a platform like this. It's an insane money sink. Cajillions of dollars just vaporize. If Microsoft had to cut their losses, how are random individuals like Dr. Disrespect, Shroud, and Ninja going to use their tens of millions of dollars? That's nothing to fund a tech initiative like that. That's my opinion.
It's fun to speculate on that, but at the same time, we have to take into consideration here that Shroud and Ninja, like number one, they're smart people. Let's acknowledge that. And two, they were literally in with Mixer. They saw what was going on. So surely enough that, these streamers and everything, they see the writing on the wall too. They know exactly what we're talking about here. And, how could they not at this point? But what becomes interesting is even watching when we see it's so competitive among bigger businesses. Like, let's just pretend we're talking about like Apple starting a streaming platform. They could sit there and look at Microsoft's complete failure here with Mixer and still dive in well knowing that it's going to fail. So that's what makes it interesting. But I don't know. I think we should just give the streamers, actual Dr. Disrespect and Shroud and Ninja, some more credit for being smart, because they have to see this too. Right? Like they absolutely have to see that sinking their money, pulling their money or whatever and starting their own platform. Like they have to see what you just said, AWOL. They have to know that it's not successful. And that's what makes it even really more interesting.
I guess we'll find out today.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be big news on this stuff today. There's so much money going into this. What is the purpose? And I want to go back to something that we used to talk about in some of the previous episodes when we look at big players. And this is, if you're small and medium-sized streamer and you're looking at all this stuff going on, wondering like, how do I know what's going to happen? How do I know how things are going to pan out? Well, there's no way of knowing for sure. But if you go by history, when you have a top platform like YouTube, like Twitch, top platforms don't stop being top platforms, right? YouTube doesn't just stop being number one unless it gets hit by a bus, which is AWOL's saying. You know, Twitch isn't going to stop being number one unless it gets hit by a bus. And for other platforms to come up and compete on this, they might be able to take a little bit of market share away from Twitch for a short period of time, but they're not going to unseat the number one juggernaut unless something really bad happens to the number one juggernaut, like getting hit by a bus. So I don't see any new project working out. So if you're looking at what's going to happen here, assume it's a pretty safe assumption that nothing's going to trump Twitch. Nothing's going to beat it. It's going to stay number one. Continue to diversify your content across the better platforms that have longer staying power and better monetization potential, and get it out there as much as you can, and use whatever tools available to your arsenal to do that. If a new platform comes up, sure, check it out, explore it, run the numbers, run some data, run some tests like we do here on the podcast. You know, do it if you guys are approaching this stuff like we do. When we go into a new platform, we do it with an analytical mind. We're looking at numbers, growth, math. Is it working out mathematically? Can we change strategies and see impact? Can we see growth? Is there organic? Ask yourself these questions. And if it's not working out, stop. Continue what you were doing that works. Remember, also apply the 80-20 rule, and you should be fine. You'll be able to get through whatever storm is happening here, and you should be able to weather whatever damage happens to whatever platform you're on, if it does happen.
Prepare everybody for whichever platforms, and all these, we're just talking about the top tier talent. The mid tier talent is moving to new platforms too. And so if you guys can keep an eye on where the mid tier talent is going, that's where the growth will happen. When you see those like streamers that have like 50 to a couple hundred concurrents, wherever they go, that's where growth happens. So if you see your buddies that have that type of audience moving somewhere, keep an eye on that platform, because that's one that has potential. Because those small to mid-sized streamers actually drive growth, whereas the large celebrity streamers actually, I think, suck growth out of a platform. They don't actually help platforms grow. They actually hurt platforms by bringing riffraff in. So keep an eye on them. Other key takeaways here: don't exclusively stream to one platform. Ever, if you can help it. You don't know if any of these platforms are going to benefit you. The only exception to that is our viewers that are watching right now that are already full-time gaming content creators that already have a massive audience on YouTube in particular, because it's the only platform you can really be full-time and grow from scratch. In your case, I still do recommend that you live stream on Twitch exclusively. Just get a Twitch partnership. So that you can just drive your audience over there and maximize the amount of money you can make when you go live. It's probably the best idea, is to diversify from YouTube over to Twitch. But that's the only example I can think of where it makes sense to go exclusive on a platform. Now, the next part, in terms of exclusivity, is if a company offers you a lot of money to be exclusive on their platform. What you want to focus on with the money, the money might really help you. And if you can invest in your equipment, you can invest in your studio, you can invest in your business, that can be really good. But what you're going to want to do is have the shortest exclusivity agreement possible with that particular company. So if they're trying to lock you in for a year or more, try to back that down to 6 months, maybe 3 months optimally, and you can renew every 3 months. But don't get locked into a platform for a year, 2 years, 3 years, something of that description, and be stuck there. Because you could miss out on major opportunities in the future, and you could see yourself looking in hindsight that was a huge mistake. So your exclusivity, you being somewhere, that's one of the most valuable assets that you have. As a live streamer right now on the internet, you can chase any opportunity there is out there. That's the advantage that you have. You have the advantage of time. You have the advantage of being the talent and having the content. And these companies are desperate. They're hungry for you to be on their platform. So don't let them sign you into a prison sentence on their platform for a long period of time unless they are really delivering the cash and you really need the cash. But don't get dollar signs in your eyes for the wrong reason, because opportunity is more valuable than cash. Time is more valuable than cash as well, and we are still in the infancy stages of gaming streaming platforms. Ross A. Dillon, bring it home for us.
Okay, well, hopefully hopefully, kind of what Mr. Parent alluded to earlier, we can have another topic like this tomorrow. Just because the rumor is, and I don't know, maybe you guys have heard something official, but rumor is we could get some kind of word today coming in from whoever about the situation going on. So keep your eyes up for that. If so, I'm sure we'll at least mention it tomorrow. It's not like it's big news or anything like that. But we are actually restreaming live on all these platforms now. So if you didn't get to catch this, if you're on Twitter, go over to YouTube, hop in there, watch the replay live, or you can download the podcast on every audio platform from Apple Podcasts to Google, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. We will be back tomorrow.